I'm on my own today. I'm just really sorry to say that. But, hey, CM Punk has returned to WWE. So what is next for CM Punk? I suppose we'll work that out now. Welcome to the WrestleTalk news episode, or this WrestleTalk live episode. We're going to dive into the topic now because, yes, CM Punk
return confirmed! Yes! 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 It finally happened! It's finally happened!
CM Punk has returned and Ollie Davis is very excited. Please, do your introduction.
But it's important to note it's only for Fox and not WWE. It certainly isn't anything to do with WWE, despite the name of the frickin' show being WWE Backstage. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke.
CM Punk return confirmed! He's back! He's here! It's finally happened! I'm gonna do it too! Sorry for everyone's headphones.
Oh, yeah, I think we just busted a few speakers. Please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe. Leave us a comment down below on the on-demand version saying, what do you think will happen next with CM Punk? Do you think he's going to make an in-ring return? Let me finish speaking. Will he make an in-ring return? Will he just stick around as an analyst? An analyst? Will he go elsewhere? Is this just a big swerve? That's what I hope.
Yeah, I did see your the video that you did on Wednesday where Pete said, I tuned in to watch Ollie talk about it, and the first thing I saw him say was, I just wish he'd gone to AEW.
Yeah, that's my live stream. So, for those of you who aren't aware, CM Punk appeared at the end of WWE Backstage on this week's episode, which is like the FS1 studio show that was part of the big $1 billion 5-year deal with Fox for SmackDown to move over there. Another thing was WWE are going to have this real show, just like Talking Smack, but this time, crucially, not produced by WWE, produced by Fox. Just like all their other sports that they have, and they have breakdowns of the UFC or the basket bats.
And the base one. Yep.
The base hockey.
Yep, the football.
Yeah. They have experts in. And while apparently the UFC ones in the past, none of those formats have ever done amazingly, and by all accounts, FS1 isn't the huge channel, has the huge channel and reach that it really... I would have thought it did, because when SmackDown was moved there, it got like less than about a third of its normal viewership, even though people were directed there for days, or weeks rather. The Fox, the idea of WWE making a serious wrestling analyst show just kind of runs contradictory to everything that we know about WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because they are, and, so the wrestling world as a whole is meant to be this very closed-off thing. It's why WWE don't like Dave Meltzer. It's why they don't like Mike Johnson, although I think they like him more than they like Meltzer, but they don't like wrestling journalists.
Oh, they like Ryan Satin.
They do like Ryan Satin, though. But, they don't like wrestling journalists because they give away trade secrets. When people ask, why is Pritchard so mad at Meltzer on his show? It's not because Meltzer is, quote, wrong with his reporting. It's because Meltzer is right about the reporting and he's giving away trade secrets. So WWE doing a show on Fox where they're essentially giving away trade secrets seems very counterproductive to what they usually do.
Yeah, and this is Fox, and I'm sure in Fox's mind, just like they have done with the UFC.
Fox are like, I don't care.
Yeah, well, like they've had with the UFC apparently, where if there's a UFC MMA talk show and there's this huge scandal, like say there was a steroid scandal in UFC, or there was a dispute about pay last year, they covered that stuff.
Yes.
Can you? But despite WWE Backstage only launching last Tuesday, it has had these one-off specials for about a month now. Would they ever touch the Saudi Arabia stuff?
Well, did they touch the ACH stuff?
No. So
that's what I'm saying. If they're not talking about the ACH stuff, which is like the biggest news story in WWE, at least it was a couple of weeks ago, and now he's made this sort of public thing that he's quitting and accusing the company of racism. If they're not talking about that, then they're just not talking about anything that's actually controversial and then never touching like the Jamal Khashoggi stuff.
Yes, exactly. And it's a WWE PR show. It's Russia state news, but it's on Fox. I'm sure if Fox had their way, they'd want it to mention AEW. They'd want all these juicy news things, but WWE are just like, no, the Miz has signed a 5-year deal.
Yeah, that's the big news that we've got. Paige has signed a new 5-year deal. Paige, who does nothing for the company, has signed a new 5-year deal.
She's a great manager. The Gronk is going to choose his favorite WWF Attitude Era star.
Bray Wyatt has revealed his new title design.
We got stick for that.
No, just the same title design.
It's the side plates.
Yeah.
So, with all that, now, this is just a long preamble, really, to say this is where CM Punk returned. He did it on this Tuesday's episode. Crucially, not the debut. And the debut episode got 49,000 viewers.
Which was a disaster. That's very bad.
Massive disappointment. Not even in the top 250 shows on that night. Outrageously bad. Cannot be considered anything else than an utter failure. And this is the debut episode. Yeah, sure, sometimes things find an audience and they grow over time. But usually, especially when it's attached to a pre-existing brand name as large as WWE...
Yeah, I was going to say.
It'll start with a big bang and then level off.
Exactly.
So if Punk was all... Because I'm skeptical that Punk was always the plan.
I don't think he was.
The report was this deal was only finalised days before, which implies Friday, Saturday, Sunday debuts on Tuesday.
Which says to me... Ratings were very bad, so they went back because, according to Punk himself, he hadn't heard anything. The conversation had essentially got cold, and then I think it was Fightful reported that Fox has moved on. They're not going after CM Punk anymore. They don't want him on the show. Well, not that they don't want him on the show. They've just decided to move past that idea. And then the ratings came in, and they're very bad. They were like, do you know what? Actually, I do think we can have another chat with this Phil character, and we will offer him the big money deal so we can come in and do the show instead.
Yeah, this... And it's like, because originally the big angle for that last Tuesday's launch, was going to be Brock Lesnar quitting SmackDown, moving to Raw. And although it's all fake news, it's like, that is an overused term, but this is literally, we've made some news up.
It's quite literally fake news.
In our predetermined kayfabe world.
Yeah.
That's a big storyline point. Mm-hmm. So that would have been a good launch, but that had to get bumped. So if that was bumped and you're like, oh my God, we've not got anything to launch our show with, but we've got Punk's debut planned for the next week, we should probably move that forward, right? No, that didn't happen. So, yeah, the reports were end of October. I wouldn't take anything Punk says at face value. Not because I don't think he's trustworthy. I just think...
He's just being worky McWork face.
Worky McWork face. That's what wrestlers do. But Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, he's proven track record, very good. Mm-hmm. So he said that, yeah, Fox executives, after apparently being offered the role, the Wrestling Observer said, for whatever reason, Fox executives have moved on. I don't know if something genuinely happened in those 3 weeks where WWE were like, you know what, we don't want Punk talking his real opinions on this live show. So nah, Fox, you can't have him. And Fox like, oh God, all right then. Well, yeah, we want this to be a nice 5-year relationship, so sure. And then the 49,000, no, we need Punk.
Yeah.
That's when they sign off on it. That's just me speculating.
Absolutely. And it appears that he's not going to be a regular on the show.
Periodically.
A periodic contributor to the show. So maybe next week's episode will do very good numbers. I'm actually very curious to see what next week's show does. So bearing in mind, this week's show did jump up. It did, I think, just under 100,000 viewers or around about that number. Yeah. So effectively, it doubled in its numbers. And you can't say that's because of CM Punk, because Punk was unadvertised. He came right at the end of the show. So that wasn't people tuning in expecting to see something. That was actually the audience just doubled in size this week. Yeah. So that's a good thing. That's a positive. So I'm very curious to see what this show does next week. Because if that show next week does 120,000 viewers with Punk on there, you'd be like, why don't people want to watch this show?
Yeah, because maybe something's wrong with the format. Or, like, you see what Punk brings next week, and maybe everyone's like, oh, he's really sanitized.
Yeah.
I know, because Punk always said if he was going to do this show, he's the voice of the voiceless. You'd expect him to speak his mind and speak up on all of these WWE issues.
And you got to remember as well, because this is on FS1. I'm talking about sort of from a ratings perspective here. The show's on FS1. When SmackDown was on FS1 for that 1 week, they lost everyone. Like, the entire WWE audience tuned out and did not bother going to watch that show. And they were very much pushing all week long. It's not on Fox this week. It's on FS1. They went out of their way to let the audience know it's on a different channel this week. And that audience did not bother going across to watch on a different channel. And it ended up drawing less than what AEW did that week on a much smaller network. So maybe if it had been on FS1, it's still not going to draw big numbers with CM Punk. But you've got to imagine Punk being there, the first wrestling thing that he's done on a big stage in 5 years, is going to draw a big number.
Yeah, and so it won't so much be next week, although next week's number is important.
Yeah,
but
it's
like
the next time he's on,
next time, or when he's not on there.
Yeah,
like what that means for the show. So
that's a good point.
So what next for CM Punk? My opinion, this is my sort of educated speculation, is that this was a rush job. That there is no plans in WWE at the moment for Punk, because this was probably something that was agreed upon and finalized on Monday. So I think, and especially him being a periodic contributor, he's not even there all the time. I think he is just going to turn up once, twice, 3 times a month, and that's it. But that will plant a seed in Vince McMahon's head.
That's what I was going to say, yeah, completely.
For whatever reason, it's that, like you see it with Goldberg and I know
Sting.
Well, Sting is. I mistakenly said Sting returned to the company, but of course
debuted for the company.
But people who are not welcome.
I'm pretty sure that was. I think that was quite clear from what you were saying.
Oh yeah, but it was a mistake. So you've got these people who are not welcome in WWE, but for whatever reason they strike a deal with a licensee or a company that's affiliated with WWE through a WWE license, and that's just like, it eases the transition. It starts to thaw that frozen relationship, and Vince, as quick as a couple of months in Goldberg's case. Probably it was about a month, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Boom.
Fantasy booking warfare or fantasy warfare comes to life. And, the Sting one's another example. Sting did the deal with 2K to appear in the 2K series, and then that sort of opened the door for him to go there. Ultimate Warrior was a 2K deal that then got him into the company. The Terminator was... I'm joking on that one. But Goldberg, and things like that, Angle. And it's, these are... It's almost like the gateway in. And I can see this being the gateway.
Definitely.
Punk shows up on backstage for a bit, and all of a sudden Vince is like, actually, you know what? Let's make him the big offer, and we'll do a big WrestleMania match. Maybe it's not at next year's Pirate WrestleMania. It's a Mania 2021. And it's we look at to the following year, or it's at SummerSlam, or it's at Survivor Series. It's one of the big pay-per-views, and you do the big debut or the big return match for CM Punk. But I can see that happening.
Definitely. And that's always been, of all the things, Punk seems to be a very stubborn person. And I mean that in it's a very positive thing and it's a very negative thing at the same time. It's tripped him up a lot in his career. But the one thing he didn't achieve in WWE was main eventing WrestleMania. And that's ultimately the thing that made him, one of the things that made him quit that year, when he realized that he was just going to get a match with Triple H. Triple H was like, but my entrance, dude.
I will be the main event.
But he wanted that main event, the true main event, not the co-main event that goes on third, but the real main event.
Yeah.
And if they say to him, come back in, I can see him swallowing his pride to tick that box that he presumably wrote a checklist of when he was 20.
And if the reports are true that he turned down the big money deal from AEW, then surely he's got to be thinking in the back of his mind, this is not just a chat show. This is not just a talk show appearance. I'm going to be thinking, because they're going to offer me the in-ring return, and maybe I'll accept it.
Yeah.
It's certainly, if you're Punk, it's got to be a possibility. Like, not just a possibility that you're going to do it, but a possibility that they're going to offer it to you.
Yeah. And that's one of the key things here, that AEW, Brian Alvarez has reported this. It wasn't just a text. It wasn't just a couple of messages here and there. Punk met with Tony Khan. Tony Khan made him a big money offer. And you got to expect, because when Tony Khan was first interviewed, before AEW was even announced, he said CM Punk was his number one guy. So you think about the amount of money that he's reportedly paying Chris Jericho, who's told people it's one of the best contracts I've ever been on.
Jim Ross.
Yeah. That Punk deal would have been enormous. Punk, to me, always seems like someone who wasn't about the money, though.
Yeah.
So
bearing in mind, remember the Colt Cabana story, or the story he tells on Cabana's podcast, where he found a check for merchandise that they hadn't checked, and it was for like a couple of $1 million.
Yeah,
and he hadn't cashed it.
Yeah,
yeah. He is someone who probably does not care about the money.
Like I think he wants to, like the revival. Sometimes you want to follow what makes you happy. So I don't even think this is a monetary decision for Punk. I think it probably is. I want that WrestleMania match. Or Luke.
Or.
How do you really, really get back at WWE? Do you just turn up at AEW? Or do you make your return in a very limp, almost intentionally underwhelming fashion on a studio show affiliated with WWE, appear on there for a couple of months, make it seem like you're going to WWE, and then debut in AEW?
I mean, the speculation station. Let's pull into it.
Oh, let me have this.
And you know what? And I think I'm past the speculation of Punk now. But I will have to quite talk about what we saw this week. Yeah, exactly. No, but I feel like we're in a very weird situation. Myself, I'm certainly speaking about here, is that we have been joking about this now for years. CM Punk to WWE confirmed, or CM Punk return confirmed, CM Punk to AEW confirmed, has become a running joke on this channel. And it's now happened. And when I think about the CM Punk return, the CM Punk return pop, the CM Punk return pop that I've been waiting for 5 years, in my head, it was not him coming out on a show that not many people are watching to polite applause from the crew that came halfway through the entrance, and Paige badly acting that she's surprised.
Apparently Shoot didn't know.
In which case she doesn't care. And
Is this a rib?
And Booker T going, I knew it. That's not what you want, is it? Is this a rib? Is this real?
Adam Cole playing air guitar.
Yeah,
I agree. It is a shame, and I've seen a lot of people, because I brought this up in my initial reaction video, and a lot of other people have said it, and there seems to be a swell of support, in the opposite direction, saying you asked for this CM Punk return forever, and now you've got it, and now you're pissing and moaning. I'm like, oh come on. No one's looking at this as a good return. Yes. This is a terrible return.
This is the CM Punk return. This is the CM Punk wrestling return. It's not the way anyone would have envisioned this. CM Punk returning is great. I'm all for that, but I think it's just it's a binary reaction at the moment. Either it's people who are going like, God, actually, it's a bit of a limp return, isn't it? And everyone's saying like, oh, you've been asking for this for years. Now, we've been asking for CM Punk to return, and we're all happy for that. But at the same time, you're looking at it like, it's not a great return, though.
Well, when I got excited in the past about saying CM Punk return confirmed, I wasn't in my head thinking of this. I was thinking, yeah, huge pop. So, okay, let's talk about that. I've done my AEW fantasy thing. Survivor Series is in Chicago.
Yes, it is.
That's in 2 weeks. 10 days, really, from now.
Well, so this was mentioned in The Office. I think it was Pete that mentioned that. He said, hey, Survivor Series is in Chicago this year. And my response was, if CM Punk returns at Survivor Series, I'm going to be so mad. Because why didn't you just save it for then?
Yes.
Why fart it out on the backstage show to this limp reaction and then do the big Chicago return where you could have had that as like the biggest surprise of all time?
Because it was never planned.
Well, okay.
This is just something that's happened.
Right,
and,
okay.
and now Vince has seen this and he goes, well, he's there. That's...
Okay, but if you're going to do it this way, if it's not... Sorry, okay, no, I need to clarify your point then. So you're saying it's not planned from a Fox thing or from a WWE thing?
Either. In the way I think it's gone down is that Punk wasn't returning until Monday.
Yeah, okay, and that was a Fox decision.
And that was a Fox decision. He's returned, and now Vince goes...
Yeah, okay, in which case then you're absolutely right on that one. Yeah,
But I do agree with you. It's like, yeah, you should have saved it for a much bigger return. A lot of people have also said... maybe number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's the better way, because Survivor Series is pretty busy. You got the Chicago thing, that's great, but NXT, you know, I'd kind of want, unless CM Punk leads NXT to victory.
I would hate that.
But yeah, I wouldn't like that either.
Because that overshadows NXT.
Exactly. It's
the whole point to get NXT over, it annoys me enough that Triple H is doing it.
Same.
Like, it needs to be Adam Cole leading the charge. It needs to be Ciampa. It needs to be Gargano, not Daddy Trips or CM Punk, because then it's not about NXT anymore. It's about Punk.
But a CM Punk return, number 30 in the Royal Rumble, setting up a Brock Lesnar main event at WrestleMania.
CM Punk as the number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble would be incredible. And actually, I'd much rather that than the Survivor Series thing, because you can have a few months of, well, essentially, he doesn't show up at Survivor Series, doesn't show up at TLC. All of a sudden, everyone's like, he's not making the wrestling return. And you sort of already get everyone into that lull of, like, you know, that full sense of, oh my God, and he is making a wrestling return.
Mate, number 30. No one's looking at the Royal Rumble after Punk returned to WWE backstage or debuted on WWE backstage and thinking anything other than it's Punk.
But then
and when it's Rey Mysterio.
And do you know what? And if I'm WWE and I know that it's not Punk, I would just make it Rey Mysterio again.
You know who it will be.
Daniel.
This is my early prediction for number 30 in the Royal Rumble. It's Baron Corbin.
That's good, yeah. That's a good one.
Right, so, well, we'll get to what you thought with your super chats at the end of the show. Thank you, everyone who's got them in so far. But right now, let's do some crap gimmicks.
It is time now for Dalton Castle's favourite segment on the show.
It's ROH endorsed.
ROH endorsed. Crap gimmicks. If you're new to this show, this is the segment of the show where you, the SWAF Nation, send to us your crap gimmick suggestions, and we, the bookers, nay promoters of crap gimmick wrestling, decide whether we want to sign them or not. What's a crap gimmick, you may ask? Well, we look at it as the 90s WWF style of you are a wrestler and a blank. You are a wrestler and a dentist. Crap gimmicks. It's a terrible wrestling gimmick, but it is something that could possibly get over, but it is still got to be pretty rubbish. And then we decide if we want to sign them or not.
Yes.
And then they get trading cards made by the fantastic Artman Lou, who's got a great Twitter account. You go check that out, Lewis Tillett Art. So go check out that. And he's got his own Patreon as well.
Yes. And we'll have this new signee because no one's been signed for a while.
Well, Michael Plowman got signed.
Well, Michael Plowman's an actual person that Matt Taven liked the name of. And not the submission. So let's get on it. We've got 3, haven't we?
We have got 3, although we've got an interesting one to start us off with, because it's not a wrestler, it's a new title.
Ooh.
Because we've only got one title in crap gimmick wrestling so far, which is the Intercontinental Breakfast Championship. Mm-hmm. So this comes in from Howard, who says, "Hi, Luke, Ollie, Chopper, Randy, Simon, and Del Fakado. I'm a huge fan and a new patron as of September. I'm proposing a championship for crap gimmicks, the Participation Championship. It's a normal title belt with normal side plates and a black strap, but the front of the belt just says, 'You tried.' And on the bottom it says, 'Crap Gimmick Participation.' There's 2 ways the title could potentially work. I'll leave it up to you guys. Number 1, the first champion can be determined like this. After the huge championship match, the loser can shamefully be awarded the Participation Championship. Once a wrestler has the Participation Championship, they cannot have any other championship or number 1 contender matches until they drop the title. How do they drop the title? After another wrestler loses a championship match, the Participation Champion can run down and, much like Money in the Bank, cash in and challenge the loser to a quick match, pinning them and dropping the title. So the current champ runs in the ref, they have a quick match, and the loser of the cash-in becomes the Participation Champion. Or the title could be awarded to losers of squash matches, and much like the first idea, they can then try and cash in to give the title to someone else and just to lose another squash match.
I like the idea because it gives it's like everyone's trying to get rid of the title. It's a game of hot potato. But Yeah. I don't know if it would work in a dramatic way.
Yes.
It's like a good idea, and I'm like, oh, that is a good idea. But when you think about how it would play out, it would just become an encumbrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, I've got to give a shout out to Cameron from Milton, Ontario, Canada, because he gave us a suggestion, which was the Hosers. They were called Bob and Doug McKenzie. Now, Bob and Doug McKenzie is a comedy duo act. It's Rick Moranis,
Okay.
from Ghostbusters and various other things, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and everything. And it was these two Canadians. They had their own movie called Strange Brew, where they were these two Canadians who called each other Hosers, and they got like the toques and everything. They had comedy albums, this, that, and the other. He suggested them as the Gimmick and essentially ripped off the entire thing. But then, brilliantly at the end, was like, this is a comedy duo character, and explained who they were. So I just had to give him a shout out for the gall to not only rip off a Gimmick, but then to admit that he ripped it off from something else.
Well done.
So our next suggestion comes in from Ivan. His idea is the video gamer. He comes to us from a digital world to escape from the terror of being used and pursues his true passion for wrestling. He wears blue tinted glasses, which gives him constant information about his opponent. His special trait that he has an LED chest which lights red when he takes damage. He can summon fruit to regain health, which is lowered from the ceiling.
Good.
And when he consumes it, the chest turns green. However, his opponent can take the summoned item and use it themselves. During a hardcore match, he can summon a weapon to use, and his chest lights up like a dance floor on his entrance.
I like a lot of those bits. Why would it light up like a dance floor? That's like a 70s thing.
Just a bit of fun, I guess.
See, that's it. I think you've got a really good idea here, but some bits aren't fitting, and the name is a bit too generic. Just like the video gamer. Like, think of all the bad puns you could have had for that name.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because actually, Ivan's email also has, like, he kind of creates a feud for him for another character that's called the Retro, and I feel like Ivan got too dragged down into this other aspect of it and lost sight of the original idea. So it almost feels like that original idea needs to be the one that's...
Yeah, because I love the idea. When I heard about the fruit coming down from the ceiling...
That's what I really liked. That's
why
exactly, this was why I put that... I wanted to add that one in here because I thought that was a really, really good idea.
There could be a spot where he's running up a ramp and there are these barrels rolling down. He's got to hop over them.
Yeah. Cracker barrels.
Cracker barrels.
And our last one comes in from EP Bell, who says, my idea for crap gimmick wrestling is the Germinator. He's a wrestling janitor who is obsessed with cleanliness. He comes out wearing a face mask to defend from germs, and he only wrestles in matches without stipulations, i.e. clean matches.
Right, that's good.
And
I hate a dirty finish.
And if the mat is too dirty, even if he's about to win, he will take valuable time to start cleaning the mat. His finishing move is called the Sanitizer, since, in his own words, it takes down 99.9% of the germs in the locker room. His mannerisms include wiping down the ring, making sure both he and his opponents are in pristine shape, and scrubbing down the title belt before a championship match just to make sure it's clean if he wins it. Though many of his other wrestlers may hate him because he's up in their face trying to get them to be clean, he's always reliable for a special guest referee position, since he's always on the lookout for any dirty tricks. You are a tough mistress these days.
Do you think I'm... Why? I was signing people left, right, and centre.
That's what I mean. These days. You're a tough mistress these days.
Maybe Dalton Castle has
jaded
me. Well, it's just... Why, are you a fan of this gimmick?
It's not one of my favourites,
but
I thought you were going to have a better reaction than... It's a bit rubbish, though.
Well, it's not rubbish. That's the point. It's very clean and tidy. Maybe it's because when I think of a janitor, I don't think of someone who's scared of germs.
Yeah, okay.
So I think at the very foundation of this character, you're talking about something else. Well, the janitors I know from my life and stuff I've seen in films, you know,
they were your only friends at school.
Yes, yeah, the ones that would hang out with me. They've got brooms. They haven't got like face masks on or anything. In fact, they're quite grubby themselves.
Yeah,
and they've got like yellow fingers from all the cigarettes. I'm sorry, Tony. That's what he used to be like. But the sort of germaphobe Germinator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've got the surgical mask thing, which interestingly doesn't protect. And it doesn't protect you from the outside world of germs. The reason those are a thing is to stop your germs getting onto the body you're operating on. Completely ludicrous. I don't know why they're a thing in Japan. But So yeah, you see what I mean?
I hear you, yeah. I hear what you're saying. It doesn't really work for me either. I do like the video gamer.
Sorry, EP Bell.
But it's almost not thought out enough.
Yeah.
And while I did like ideas within the Participation Championship, that also has some holes in it.
Yeah. The video game was the closest for me.
Yeah.
But it needs a lot more work. So just a developmental contract for now, I'm afraid.
Yes.
We don't get the shake for ages.
I don't get to do Hando Shaker.
No, I was looking forward to that again.
Right, well, let's dive into our Patreon mailbag. If you'd like to submit a question to the mailbag, all you've got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers on Patreon and leave a comment in the community section. Do not email it to me. I will just lose it. This first one comes in from the Hunter Tyler Bailey, who says, will you guys be live streaming Impact's Hard to Kill? The main event will be Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan for the world title. I believe that one has earned the live stream. Can this be a vote or something?
Wow. Well, I'm very excited because I love Tessa Blanchard, and Sami Callihan has been one of our favourites.
Yeah, he's one of our boys.
For years. So it's difficult because when we do a live stream, that takes two of us out for a whole day in the week. So we really have to be selective of them. And unfortunately, Impact, last year, maybe you could have made an argument for it before AEW launched because, Slammiversary... they're Bound for Glory. There was another one.
This year they had the Bound for Glory show they did this year was great, but this year's Slammiversary and the one they had at the start of the year, Homecoming, was Homecoming was a fantastic show.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it just doesn't have the viewer interest there, so probably not. I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Impact, it's a shame that when sort of people talk about ratings, this, that, and the other, and you talked about how WWE Backstage wasn't in like the top 200 shows. Impact at the moment doesn't rank. It wasn't ranking when it was on Pop, and now it's on Access, which doesn't release and it doesn't subscribe to Nielsen ratings. So it's even less out of it. We have absolutely no idea who's watching it. But if you go and buy their Twitch numbers, it's still not a massive amount.
Yeah.
This next one comes in from Callum, who says, yo, what's up, WrestleTalk gang? I was thinking about this for AEW on who is going to be the next challenger for Chris Jericho. Ooh. I think after a lot of title matches, Dustin should challenge Jericho at a Double or Nothing too. What do you think about this?
P.S. This question is terrible if Cody wins tonight.
Yeah.
We all knew it wouldn't happen. Oh, and hashtag support WrestleTalk, he says. Thank you. Well, I don't even think Scorpio Sky is going to be the next person.
I think he is.
You reckon? I think it might be more down the line.
I think this is a company that will follow up on wins and losses, and I think they giving Scorpio Sky that win was done for the sole intention of giving him a title shot, not at a pay-per-view, but in say like 4 weeks' time.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I agree with you. I meant like not now. I wasn't meaning like it wouldn't matter. I just mean I don't.
It's because you hate Scorpio Sky. Like that's what we decided on from Wednesday's show. I've had quite a few messages from people saying like, I don't know how you kept your cool during that show because Ollie was out to lunch during his thing.
Thought I argued it really well.
And then your argument was, it's not my favourite, ergo it's rubbish.
So someone did write what I was trying to say. It took me like 10 minutes to say what I was saying as well. Someone wrote what I was trying to say in one sentence. I was like, God damn it, why didn't I? And it's essentially love SCU. But this is the comment, but I agree with it. They are pushed like they're over, as opposed to being over. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying they're not super over, I mean. They're pushed like they're super over, but they're not actually super over.
Yeah, which I think is fair enough.
And that's where my problem was. So, of course, I'm going to say Pentagon Jr. should be the next big program for Jericho.
I think that's a really good idea as well, actually. This one comes in from Sawyer, who says, actually, we haven't talked about it. You and I haven't talked about this anyway, but Nick Jackson said this week that the wins and loss records do get reset.
Yeah.
So they are going to do it as seasons.
I like that.
I really like that as well. Yeah. Sawyer says, which AEW Championship title would you like to see change hands first, and how long should it take until it happens? I'm optimistic AEW will keep the top strap on Jericho for a long time, and they seem super high on Rio. With the tag division being so stacked, I could see those titles having more frequent trade-offs, but hopefully not until at least the next pay-per-view. Frequent is not a word I would use. I don't think it's going to be like changing hands 3 times a year. I get the impression that they're going to keep hold of titles for a while, make them feel like it's a big deal when title changes happen.
Totally.
As opposed to, have you seen one of the matches announced for Raw? The Viking Raiders defending their tag titles.
against Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder because they won a match in Munich. You see AEW Dark? Our house shows count too.
Yeah. That honestly feels like a rib. That does feel like a rib on AEW.
I agree with the tag belts probably being first to change hands. But I don't see it anytime soon. I tell you what, though, that could be a good... I think Christmas Day is Wednesday this year, and they're taping that in advance. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world to change the titles on that show.
On a tape show?
On a tape show, because you get the message out there
the news
first,
gets out,
and people tune in to watch the title change.
Yeah. Because actually, it's weird how that works, isn't it? Like, even when you do a tape show and you announce ahead of time that a title's changed hands, you always get a bump in the ratings because people want to watch the title change. Yeah, it's a crazy world. Chris Thorne says, after the Kabuki Warriors effectively kicked out Paige, the cynic in me is saying that Team PCB will reform and face the Kabuki Warriors for the titles at WrestleMania and probably win the damn thing.
They're 2/3 of the way there.
Well, and you're slightly too early because the report is it's Kabuki Warriors versus Lynch and Flair at TLC in December. And I'll be honest, that feels like that's been set up since... That was set up before I even left. Like, they had the Kabuki Warriors in the ring with Lynch and Flair, and that was when I made the joke. They're taking them serious now because Lynch and Flair are involved. Yeah. So, yeah, it feels like they've been setting this up for a while now. But anyway, so I've actually theorized about Becky and Charlotte teaming up for at least a month, and I think I couldn't think of anything worse for them. If you had to completely ruin one of your big stars, how would you do it? I'm thinking Drew reforms 3MB with Jinder and Heath, or worse, a 4-man band with Elias. AEW could make Cody Rusev 2.0 and cuck him with MJF, but Cody actually likes watching them do it.
I think, but like Drew bringing back 3MB would have a lot of appeal. To completely undermine his serious part.
But he is a man who likes to be in teams.
Yes. He likes to be people's seconds.
Yeah.
But the stuff with Becky and Charlotte, I mean, weirdly, putting Seth and Becky together, I think is the start of all of this downward trend for Rollins. So I think like... Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I can't say why that didn't work. Because it seemed like a good idea, but it completely misfired. But that I would say that's one of the more damaging things. Yeah, have people go on Twitter. Have wrestlers who aren't good at Twitter tweet.
Abraham says, if Punk returned to the ring, do you think it would be better to have him as NXT's 5th member at Survivor Series or the number 30 in the Royal Rumble? Keep in mind, if he is NXT's 5th member, then NXT is probably winning, but if he's number 30 in the Rumble, he would probably lose. I'd rather have him in the NXT team because that means NXT would win the match. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work. Blake Ham's number 1 fan, Abraham. As I mentioned earlier, I think it just makes NXT about Punk, and you want to get NXT over. And just having them win... it still doesn't mean NXT won. It just means that Punk won.
Yes. Yeah. I'd say number 30 and then have him win, though. Well, we didn't, because the thumbnail, I forgot to talk about this, has Bray Wyatt and Adam Cole and Seth Rollins on the front there. Seth Rollins and Bray have both sort of tweeted about Punk since his return. So I don't think anything's in the works, but, they're obviously... Why wouldn't they tweet that? And Adam Cole was in the ring. Just the idea of having... And Joe... Punk and Joe that close together, the classic Ring of Honor feud.
Exactly.
Oof.
I actually like the idea as well because Adam Cole currently apparently doesn't have a match for Survivor Series. The latest report is that he's going to be part of the men's 5-on-5 when it's Raw v SmackDown vs NXT, and he'll essentially be the team captain for NXT, which will make perfect sense with him warring with everyone at War Games the night before. It makes perfect sense. So I hate Survivor Series. But if you had, instead of that, Adam Cole lay out an open challenge, and then you have and you do Punk versus Cole for the NXT Championship at Survivor Series. In Chicago.
And have Punk win.
Have Punk lose, obviously.
Well, I don't think you could do that.
As a way to really put over the NXT brand.
I think that's terrible business.
Yeah?
You don't want Punk losing his return match.
But to put over... that's bringing him back to put someone over in a big, big way.
You bring him back, and then you have him... beat loads of people, and then he puts over the new guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. saying that it's also if you want to do something.
It should be Pentagon Jr.
I'd much rather them do that with Cole than have him in the 5-on-5 match, which storyline-wise doesn't make any sense. Craig Thomas says, after watching Ant and Dec DNA Journey on TV, it turns out that Dec is related to Dixie Carter.
It's crazy that. Did you see it?
Yeah, well,
I've seen the clip.
I didn't, because some people asked, like, why didn't I put it in an episode of the news? And I was like, well, Ross from Cultaholic already had the best joke about it, where he said it's DNA impact.
Yes.
And I was like, after that, I'm like, there's no other jokes to be made. He's already done it.
That's why we don't do proper punishments. You got to learn that you're not going to do it better than some people.
Exactly. Yeah. If you guys did a DNA test, who do you think you would be related to in the wrestling world? We all know that Laurie will be related to Mark Andrews.
And Zach Gibson.
Yeah, and Eric Rowan.
Yeah, anyone with a beard.
Anywhere with ginger beards, Laurie's related to. See, I don't know from the wrestling world, but I think if I was to do a DNA test, I wouldn't be surprised if I was related to Hilary Swank.
Yes.
Because we look exactly the same.
And that's crazy. If you haven't seen... Because you're probably thinking, Luke doesn't look anything like Hilary Swank. I fancy Hilary Swank. Look at pictures of them side by side. Oh, my God.
We have the same smile as well, which I think makes it even creepier.
Yeah. And the same beard.
Yep. Particularly if you watch Boys Don't Cry as well. Because now we've got the same hair.
I don't know him.
Well, someone
hairy.
Someone has said it's obviously Scotty Davis. You share the same name, and I think, and you've both sported amazing mustaches this year.
His one is much better than mine.
So I don't know who from the wrestling world would I be. Is there anyone I look like in the wrestling world?
Oh, Muscly Luke.
Oh,
the Irish wrestler.
Of course,
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Muscly Luke. Yeah, because actually we do look very alike. Safe Ashore says, is it just me, or is AEW Dynamite just on another level to everything else? I was hesitant to put this in because we're still getting those messages about you guys overly praise that company and you are too critical of WWE. It has the star power and grandeur that NXT and Impact don't have. It has consistency, engaging storylines, and fan interactions like Raw and SmackDown don't have. And it has variety, the reach like NJPW doesn't have. Since the third week of Dynamite, I haven't touched an episode of Raw or SmackDown despite having watched exclusively for the last 4 or 5 years, and I don't think I'll ever be able to go back. Right now, my wrestling consumption is this: Dynamite live and in full, NXT either in full or highlights the next day, and any standout NJPW matches that get recommended. So I guess I'm asking, if you weren't forced to watch wrestling for your job, what shows would you follow? Or do you agree with my analysis of AEW, or is the show that I'm missing that ticks all of these boxes as well?
I think you've totally hit it. You're on the money there. With It's got the star power and grandeur that NXT and Impact lack. Maybe the star power's the wrong word because NXT definitely does have star power, but definitely the grandeur. NXT does feel just by being in Full Sail as not
the
as
true
big.
alternative.
Yeah, and yeah, like the variety and reach. And New Japan haven't got that weekly show that can just get you hooked in, I think. And yeah, I mean, if I did this wasn't my job, I'd watch AEW. I genuinely cannot wait for AEW every week. And that was I was brutally hungover when I got back from Amsterdam. I just wanted to go to sleep, but the first thing I did when I got home is watch Full Gear because I couldn't wait to see it. And I was like, when you're like, oh, I want to find out what happened, and you're just about to load Twitter. No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And I managed to do it spoiler-free. And I'd watch NXT. I think I'd watch bits of NXT. Definitely watch takeovers. Raw and SmackDown, I would just read about. I'd still keep up with everything, but I'd probably just do it through podcasts.
I'd go back to exactly what I was doing before I worked here, which was I was watching NXT on a weekly basis, reading and listening to recaps of Raw and SmackDown.
Yes.
And now, in the 2019 world, I would be watching AEW on a weekly basis and Dark. And those would be like my big... That would be my wrestling, is AEW and NXT.
I mean, that's 5 hours of wrestling on a non-pay-per-view week.
Yeah.
That's enough.
It's a lot. Ryan B. Bad, after watching the recent Full Gear reaction and Luke's comments about AEW's entrance music and Salty JR, I'd have to say this is the first time I really disagree with Luke's opinion, especially anything about AEW. A lot of the music is some of the better entrance music between some of the bigger wrestling companies. Cody, Jericho, Dustin, Kenny, Young Bucks, Mox, Darby, Page all have fantastic music currently in wrestling. About JR, he's always been like this. He focuses on the wrestling and especially the old school hard hitting stuff. I just think he comes off as salty to some because he doesn't have an over-the-top heel commentator to bounce off. Like when you compare him to Excalibur, where X knows all these high-flying lucha moves, whereas Jay thinks they're unneeded risk. What's funny about this is that in that Full Gear review, I agreed with everything that Ryan said. I said that I thought they did a better job of presenting the music, and actually the music sounds better.
Yeah, because it would kind of it sounded like it would be...
It was always lost in the mix.
It needs to get turned up by about 4 points.
Exactly. In the first few weeks of Dynamite, it was really lost in the mix. But I think now they're doing a better job of highlighting the music. Like Darby Allin's music is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Mox has got a really cool sound. I love Paige's music as well. Pax is wicked. Young Bucks is really fun and things like that. If you like Fozzy, then Jericho's music is going to be up your alley as well.
I like that song as an entrance
It's their
theme.
one good song.
Yeah.
It's my weekly shoot on Fozzy. And the Salty JR thing, to your point, my favourite bit of commentary from JR at Full Gear was him turning his saltiness of not liking the big flippy moves into a character reason. He was talking about Paige, and he said, Paige doesn't need to be doing moonsaults to the floor. He's a Stan Hansen wrestler. His moveset benefits him being the hard-hitting clotheslines and stomps and things like that. Him doing moonsaults is an unnecessary risk that doesn't always pay off for him. So actually, he used his criticism of Paige's style of wrestling to further a storyline within the match, which is all is what I'd said in the review. So actually, we're in agreement, Ryan, again.
I think that's an interesting point, though, about JR. Maybe JR's been this way forever, but because he's alongside Tony and Excalibur, who are quite cheerily dispositioned, it makes JR seem more down on stuff than he actually is.
Yeah.
But when he was with King, he seemed, like this level objective person.
There are times though where I think Salty JR is too much. There's that moment at Full Gear
when this week
at Full Gear when Santana and Ortiz got the sock full of
pool balls.
Excalibur says, "Oh my God, it's a sock full of pool balls," and JR says, and I quote, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, just play along, JR. Come on, mate. Abnahav, with CM Punk returning, everyone is already booking their dream matches with Seth Styles, McMahon, etc. But my dream booking for Punk is not a match, but a podcast. Ooh. What if he appears on the Stone Cold podcast and discusses about his life after he left WWE and how he came back to it? I guess this is the best way to get the God dream match of Punk versus Stone Cold. What do you guys think?
I don't think... Punk said everything in the greatest shoot interview ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is his 2-part with Colt Cabana. So I'm not sure about that. But hearing him and Stone Cold just shoot the breeze, I'd love to hear it.
Well, that was going to be my point as well. We've already had the Best CM Punk podcast. And I don't think his life since leaving WWE is as interesting as to us as that Cabana podcast would have been. Lastly, we have got... the last bit from Abnahav, who says, I'm confused about the win-loss records. If you look at the win-loss records for the women's division of AEW, Emi Sakura didn't deserve a match. When the match was announced, she had 1-on-1, whereas Brandy was 1-0. Britt Baker has a better record, and so does Hikaru Shida. I understand the teacher-student relationship, but it doesn't go with the win-loss logic. What do you guys think about it? Should AEW also focus on stories rather than completely relying on the win-loss records? That's exactly what I said in the review. I always thought it didn't make any sense that Emi Sakura got the shot above anyone else.
I think there is a way to balance stories with the win-loss records. I mean, you're in control of both. It's not like, this person's winning all these matches. We should probably turn that into the storyline. No, you come up with both at the same time.
Yeah, completely.
But yeah, I think their women's division has been an afterthought. I think that's quite clear, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's why that Rio match didn't make sense from the wins-loss record perspective.
Completely agree with you. Yeah. Now, we are in a bit of an awkward position here because we're meant to do an unboxing. We haven't brought it with us. So I will quickly run back to the office. If you want to take the super chats, there is a document for it from Lady Lou, the mod mother. Do you want to use
my laptop just died.
Okay,
see that? Literally, I went to click on it.
You did.
And it died.
Well, luckily you got this one here.
I'll hop over.
Back in a second.
Unbox me. So, Fergal McClements, long-time fan of the show. Imagine Punk doing the ultimate work and going to AEW while doing the show for Fox. Swerve! That's what I am hoping for quite avidly. Anonymous. Punk has said he's friends with Renee and would love to work with her. Renee is married to Mox. Mox is very happy at AEW. CM Punk to AEW confirmed. Calm down, Nikki. Anonymous. Well, one can dream. Forced by gaming. CM Punk enters at number 30 at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, we talked about that. I think that's much more preferable than a Survivor Series return. Scyther versus everyone. Backstage show is pointless and boring. Analytics on a scripted show, kinda lame. WWE trying to copy AEW. Also, you heard here first, Edge returns at the Rumble. Edge has been rumoured to be making a comeback for a couple of months now. Of course, he returned at SummerSlam. Was it SummerSlam?
Yes, it was in SummerSlam, yeah. My God, you sit so low.
Lewis Whitaker, Punk 2K20 DLC confirmed. All my love to you both. And love to you back.
That's actually a really good shout.
But it's not a WWE contract.
No, but 2K can always sign a contract with him.
Nate drops surname. Yeah, if he could be the cover star for 2021, I don't think he'd want to be attached to 2K20.
Oh, but it's so good. And it completely works. Have you seen the latest video?
The one where Charlotte falls over while trying to do the moonsault?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then it still plays the animation without Charlotte. But the other one I saw was someone in a tables match set up Aleister Black to do the Black Mass. Or I think it was like a running knee strike or something. And the character stands up, the computer character, and in the process bumps into the table and the table breaks and it ends the match.
Oh my God. Nate drops surname. It's definitely more likely now that there is a WWE in-ring return, even just for a promo. I just absolutely do not see it happening. So it could be an in-ring return, but not a wrestling in-ring return.
Just for the promo.
New Punk rants. Thanks, Ollie. Now all I want is Omega, a.k.a. The Cleaner, a.k.a. Best Bout Machine, a.k.a. One Winged Angel, versus CM Punk. Sob emoji. Hashtag dream match. I'd love Punk in AEW. Lovely time with the boys.
Lovely time with the boys.
Heart emoji. Timonu Zumaki. Maybe CM Punk wants to work with Heyman again. I didn't think of that. Of course, Heyman's got the book on Raw. Nate drops surname. What would you think about CM Punk versus a Fiend match at Mania? I'd like it better than Brock. Promos would be incredible and get Fiend back on track.
That's one of those ones where you don't want either guy to lose, though.
Plus, get Fiend back on track in April.
He's also just won the title, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think Punk Brock is a really good idea.
But they've already done it, though.
Yeah.
In fact, but I hadn't seen it. They've already done Punk Wyatt as well.
Japanese kanji characters and some Chinese ones. Isn't it a misnomer to say CM Punk returned to WWE when it's actually a Fox show? His paychecks say Fox, not WWE, I was told. Yeah, but it's for I get that. But I don't think it's disingenuous to say Punk has returned to WWE because it's WWE branding. It's Renee Young, it's Samoa Joe, it's Booker T. It's a WWE show that WWE promote and is part of their huge SmackDown deal with Fox. So yeah. Canale Improbabile. CM Punk returned on Eddie Guerrero's death day and we missed it in the excitement. I still miss him deeply. Can we get an Eddie chant?
No. I'm joking. Eddie.
KML. I can finally have my Shane McMahon versus CM Punk best in the pole match at WrestleMania.
Do you know what? I was actually going through my best matches of the year thus far, and I still at this point think Miz versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania is in my top 10 matches.
So much fun. Dwayne Cooley in a whisper voice. Ollie. CM Punk returned to the WWE. He returned. Yes. My lady partner was annoyed. Forged by Gaming. Punk and AJ Lee versus Black and Vega. I'd watch that. There's so many things wrong with what you just typed. Firstly, it's Zelina Vega and Andrade who are the on-screen act. And what, you bring Punk back for an intergender match?
Well, do you know what? Gorilla Position. I love Gorilla Position, but they put out a tweet today that had CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth and Becky. With like let's make this happen at WrestleMania. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. And I love Gorilla Position. I love all the lads there. It's one of the worst ideas I've ever heard.
AJ Lee versus Zelina Vega, though, because Vega played Lee as the stunt double in the Page movie.
That's right, yeah.
That would be a weird bit of context. Glass frame. I'm not entirely sure how the format of Backstage works, but couldn't Punk use the show to bury the parts of the company that annoy him?
Yes, he can. That was the whole point, apparently.
That's what I'm hoping for too, but we'll see how long WWE's patience will last with that. That's a possibility we haven't talked about, that this doesn't go well.
Very true. Yes, actually, that's a bloody good point. I didn't think about that.
That within a month, WWE's like, nah, and just bump him.
But it's a Fox call. So do they have enough sway with Fox to say, like, you get rid of him?
I mean, Fox can't go back on the deal. Like, I think from stuff we've read about WWE sign on the dotted line and then treat you like crap for 4 years, and then in the last year be like, oh, it's time for renewal.
Yeah.
So I can totally see WWE being like, no, you can't use him because he's saying this about this thing.
But it's a Fox decision, though.
It's a Fox decision, but Fox don't want to piss off WWE. WWE, of course, I think they want to work nicely together.
Yeah. But if you're in a Fox position where the ratings for this show are actually going good, and that's all down to Punk because it's a proven track record that it wasn't doing good before he came. I'm talking like very hypothetical here, but WWE don't want him. Surely Fox can be like, well, no, because the show does badly without him.
Yeah.
So yes, he's going to stay on the show. I don't care what you say. He's staying on the show.
And WWE are going to be like, no, you take him off the show. And it's just going to be very awkward.
Yeah, well, it's going to be very awkward, yeah.
And,
but I still think he's going to remain on the show because it's a Fox decision, not a WWE one.
We'll see. Austin Tussey, I hope he's at the Rumble because I'll be there. You'll have a great night regardless.
Exactly.
There's the Rumble.
And so, yeah, let's not all out this.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not, because when we did All Out, we did our live reactions, there was so much negativity at the end of that show because CM Punk didn't return. Because the man that was never advertised to return didn't return, some people got really mad.
Yeah.
So let's not get really mad at the Royal Rumble if Punk doesn't come out.
I'm going to get mad. Dan Van Sky, he is one of our pledge hammers.
He is, indeed.
When me and
The
Pete
Rocket.
did his video, he's a very accomplished singer.
Is he really?
I'll play you some of his Spotify stuff. A great way to bring Punk back to the ring could be having him knock on Aleister Black's door and pick a fight with him. What do you guys think? Dan Van Sky.
I mean, at least that would be a conclusion to this storyline, which has been going on now for 2-3 years, I think, at this point.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Do you want me to take the next one?
Yeah, you do this.
So from King Rastu, who says, I hate AEW, that's all.
Well, it's not for everyone, I guess.
Carlo says, the Scorpio Sky win is a callback from Jericho, the title win promo when he was running down the locker room. Easter eggs, AEW. Yeah, because he went around saying, like, you're not getting a title shot, you're not getting a title shot, you're not getting a title shot.
That's a fantastic bit of attention to detail that I didn't pick up on.
Some WWE miscellaneous Oliver Davis. Gazatola of Rock and Roller said, on Tuesday's live show, Ollie and Luke were wondering where Saxton is, but I didn't watch it till last night. I saw him last Thursday. He's the ring announcer at WWE Live in Brighton.
He's so much more than that. That's a shame.
Green Vega Club said, if Mox was still in WWE, we would have had a Shield member for each brand. Seth in Raw, Dean in NXT, and Roman on SmackDown for Survivor Series.
Well, that assumes Dean would be in NXT.
Yes, we could have had that. And Wallu TV, darn! It wasn't Munich, it was Mannheim. Hawkins has got this. My favourites winning in Germany. What a year.
Oh my God. Maybe they knew Dan was going to be in the audience. Blimey.
Do you want
I do WrestleTalk
that?
miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous. Come on, Oliver Davis.
Bradley the Wolf. What is the best response to someone that says wrestling is fake? What point would you make to educate them?
So my favourite version of this comes from the Attitude Era podcast. Kevin's got a very good anecdote in there when they were watching WrestleMania. I can't remember which one it is. It's 20. I want to say it's 23. The one with Edge and Foley, where they did the big hardcore match with the spear through the flaming table. And one of the housemate that Kevin wasn't living with said, "Oh, why are you watching this? Is this fake?" And then that table spot happened, and he said, "What do you think that was then? Crepe paper, like red fiery crepe paper going up? No, it's real fire and it's real wood." And he fell to the outside and fell through the fire. Of course, it's still real. It's just predetermined. Game of Thrones is fake.
Yes, that's my go-to one. It's so are movies.
So's everything.
So's all the TV shows you watch.
So's the news.
Oh. Danny Trashman DeVito, did WrestleTalk pull a WWE and drop that spooky storyline?
No.
I guess you mean The Fiend. No, we wrapped it up.
Yeah.
The Friend.
The Friend. He's Dave.
Dave.
He's doing the SmackDown
doing the
reviews
SmackDown
every week.
reviews.
Has done now for a month or so.
Vito Ventura. Ollie, your CM Punk return video was priceless. Now a pledge hammer. Prefer a more wrestling name like Vito the Body Ventura, not Pet Detective. Oh, but he said the Pet Detective one.
I'm sorry about you getting Pet Detective.
Thank you very much for becoming a pledge hammer. Mundy, since Val loves drama, you should have her and Laurie do a Total Divas review every week because they work great together. Love you guys support WrestleTalk. They did last Friday's show. I don't know if... I think we'll probably do an Impact show before we do Total Divas.
Yeah.
King Rasta, again. Such a cracking job, Ollie. Really sold the tears. Give this man an Oscar.
Oh, you crying in the bathtub? Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, that wasn't selling.
I was genuinely overcome with emotion. Carlo Moriso, look up WCW American Males.
American Males.
Theme.
American Males.
That's a good punishment for you guys. Love to see it.
Well, if one of the pledge hammers suggests it, it's all down to those Patreon pledge hammers. They've got to suggest it, and then people have got to vote for it to win.
It's soon. And me and Chopper Pete, there's one in it at the bottom.
Theme as well.
Voice of Jamie.
I think actually American Males has come up as well in previous polls. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but it has come up in previous polls.
Thanks for keeping me entertained during revision. Our pleasure. Revise for the stuff.
But also at the same time, I didn't do any revision for any of my GCSEs or A levels, and I turned out fine.
And last minute message before we get on to the unboxing. So you prepare the unboxing. House of Fure. Punk versus Fiend. Singapore cane match. Sure? I don't know. I just don't want it in red lights. That's what I know. So, WrestleCrate. If you go over to WrestleCrate.co.uk, and use the discount code WrestleTalk, you'll get 3 free items in your first box. This is this month's one.
It's
ready?
an unboxing.
T-shirt, folks.
What we got?
Shikara. Open it up.
Oh, it's like a big Shikara T-shirt. Very nice. So strength.
Shikara used to be a much bigger deal. It's such a cool idea. I guess now that Quackenbush is down the performance center all the time. That's cool.
Fun T-shirt though.
Yeah.
I like it.
And we also have another T-shirt.
What? Do you want to rip this one as well?
Yes. You're the strongest.
It is a T-shirt that says...
Oh, that's good.
Ooh.
I'm a former backyard wrestler.
Oh,
Extreme wrestling. I like that.
that is nice.
That's pretty good.
And I could wear it because I used to do backyard wrestling back in the day.
Outrageous. What have we got
My
here?
character was a complete rip-off of Raven, unsurprisingly.
We've got some signed stuff. We've got... Whoa!
It's Bret the Hitman Hart.
Bret Hart? I'm sure he was totally into this. Good luck with your match. Seth? Is Seth right?
Still one of my favourite indications this
What
year.
do we got here? Oh, another signed one. It is... can't remember his name. Chumbo. You know, the Progress guy.
Oh,
Mambo.
Chuck
Mambo.
Yeah.
Chuck Mambo.
Yeah, you said Mumbo. Chuck
Oh,
Mambo.
God damn it. I couldn't remember what it was. And then we've got some
We're going to get so much hate
nice
with it
little
now.
goodies. Oh, wow, this
We've
is
got
cool.
pins, we've got badges.
This is a luchador bottle opener.
That's very nice.
That's really cool.
Where's our other one?
Yeah, it's very similar to the one. Is he in the? No, he's not. I've got like a figurine version, but I almost prefer this one.
It's very nice.
That's
I
cool.
like it.
For the beers, a Von Erich sticker.
Yep. Very nice. That was actually a T-shirt in last month's box as well, which came with a lovely El Phantasmo pin. Speaking of pins,
Haskins.
couples that stay together, slay together.
Wow, that's cool as well. There's Mark Haskins and his wife Vicky also Vicky Haskins, is her name, in skull form. Mm-hmm. But we haven't got the Chase. We have got the Chase edition.
Variant. Yeah, that is a really nice pin, actually. I really, really like that. Also, if you are a fan of Haskins, we had a great interview with him on the WrestleTalk podcast recently, where he had some choice words to say about old Bully Ray.
We've got...
That's going to be hidden now, isn't it?
The wrestles for Ring of Honor, of course, at the moment. We've got the Vault, which is... what is this? an exclusive club for wrestling collectors.
Oh.
Pre-sale access to our awesome stock, free shipping, free entry to monthly giveaways. Looks like valuated figures only for sale in the vault.
Wow.
So probably collectible based stuff.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good. Apparently it's £12 a month just to have access to the stuff they have.
Wow.
That's exclusive. Wow. So that's cool. We've got another one. Extreme Wrestling on Demand. Get your first month for free. That's cool. That on-demand service. And we got Riptide.
Hey!
I love Riptide's artwork.
Love the way they shoot stuff.
Look at that. Yeah, it's the promotion down in Brighton. They've just got really good art direction. Got Jordan Breaks versus Spike Trivet in the main event. And the Riptide Mambo. Chuck Mambo versus TK Cooper in the main event, actually.
Have a look, we'll see what else is on
Chris Ridgway versus Cara Noir.
there. Hello, mate. Cara Noir is not just one of the best upcoming guys in the UK scene, but he is a wrestler that is tailor-made for Riptide style.
Yeah.
Like, the way that they shoot things is like, oh, this is why Cara Noir exists. It's for Riptide.
I'm going to read you some other matches.
Please do.
On this. This is a hell of a card, actually. Chakra, don't know them, and Paul Robinson versus
Robin.
Jimmy Havoc and Session Goth.
Session Goth!
And
She's killing it out in Japan at the moment as well. Well done, Session Goth.
and for the tag team titles, Team White Wolf, so
Yep.
A-Kid and Carlos Romo.
Do a lot of stuff with Rev Pro.
CCK, Chris Brooks and Kid Lycos.
Oh, is it with Lycos as well?
Before he got injured.
Yeah.
And Aussie Open.
Oh, hello, mate. Hello, cheeky.
We get anything else? No, that's all of it. What a box!
What a box that is.
You're always guaranteed some great
wow,
stuff.
We've got Martinez versus Candy Floss as well.
We've only had one item we didn't like, and that was John Morrison's.
What was Mayor of Slamtown?
It's such a terrible catchphrase. We've just got one more super chat before we get out of here. From Mundy. Do you guys have any idea whatever happened to MVP? He's doing a lot of indie shows. You still see him around.
Yeah.
I thought he
Doing a
would have
lot
been
of
brought
training.
back to... You know what? I think he was in the 25th anniversary episode of Raw.
Yeah.
I think he was playing poker backstage.
Yes,
with the
I think he
APA.
was. Yeah.
But yeah, he's still around doing wrestling appearances. It's odd that someone hasn't picked him up because, you know, he's very good and great promo as well.
Yeah.
Be a good veteran to have on the team, I'd say. But yes, that's all we have time for today. How do we end this stream from here?
I've got it from here, mate. That's why I got
You got it?
That's why I got the thing out, mate, didn't I?
Please click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things. And this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon. Also, go over the Screen Stalkers Twitch page right now because Chopper Pete and his girlfriend Michelle are streaming Pokemon that just came out today. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. And that was Rambling Wrestling.
No.
You got this, bro.
When I press it there, it just doesn't work. I think I'm just too far over, and then I can press that, and that ends the stream.